There is a type of reader who defies the unwritten rules of literature, the one who, before even delving into the first pages, runs his fingers over the last line of the book, as if he were a detective anticipating the outcome of a crime. While most delight in the mystery, in the tension of not knowing what will come, they seem immune to the magic of suspense, as if the journey were less important than the destination. But what hides behind this apparently innocent or, for some, sacrilegious habit? Is it just impatience, or a deeper need to control the chaos of narratives, and, who knows, of life itself? There's nothing wrong with skipping pages, of course. Everyone has their own way of consuming stories, and if someone prefers to know the ending before starting, it's not a literary crime. It could just be a matter of cognitive preference. Some brains calm down when they have a map of the territory, as if reading was a trip and they needed to check the GPS before leaving the starting point. But if we look beneath the surface, this behavior reveals fascinating and sometimes surprisingly human psychological layers. Perhaps, at some point, these people were betrayed by an ending. A beloved character died without warning, a romance ended in disappointment, a promising plot collapsed into clichés. The brain registers, if I know earlier, I won't be caught by surprise. It's as if, by reading the outcome in advance, they tamed their anxiety, transforming uncertainty into something predictable, safe. Or, it could be the opposite, such a great fear of being disappointed that, knowing the ending, they decide whether or not the book is worth it, like trying the candy before buying the whole box. There are also those who do this for pure analytical pleasure. For them, knowing the destination allows them to observe the plot threads more carefully, like a critic who watched the film twice. The first time, he got carried away by the emotion. In the second, he studied every detail. They like to dismantle the engineering of the story, to see how the author planted clues, how the characters evolved, or not, up to that point. In this case, reading the ending first isn't cheating, it's an intellectual game, a way of dialoguing with the text instead of just consuming it. But what about when this habit goes beyond books? What does this say about how these people approach life? After all, whoever reads the ending first may be someone who, deep down, has difficulty dealing with the unpredictable. In a world where everything, from the weather to relationships, seems slippery, knowing the outcome is an illusion of control. It's as if, by anticipating the last pages, they are rehearsing for the endings of their own existence. If I know how it ends, I can prepare myself. Or at least pretend I am. Interestingly, this behavior can also reveal a peculiar emotional maturity. Those who read the ending first often understand that the value of a story is not just in the suspense, but in the way it is told. They know that, even though they know the destination, the beauty is in the details, the nuances, the words we choose to get there. It's like watching a sunset. You know the sun is going to set, but that doesn't take away the magic of watching it disappear over the horizon, painting the sky with colors no one could predict. If you are on this team, no, you are not a party pooper, nor a wrong reader. Maybe you just discovered that, for you, the security of knowing the ending doesn't kill the surprise, it transforms it. Because, at the end of the day, the best stories are not about what happens, but about how it happens. And the best lives are also not about the destinations, but about the pages we write along the way. So, do you do this too? Comment here, what was the last book you read the ending first? Share with those who love analyzing stories, or with those who think this is a literary sin, and if you liked this reflection, activate the bell so you don't miss the next texts. Until next time, and that your readings, whether linear or not, are always full of meaning. Open Book Sparkles. Continuation of the original text, about reading the end first, expansion with improved techniques. But why, after all, this need to know the ending beforehand? The answer isn't just in curiosity, it's in the architecture of our minds. The human brain is a prediction and control machine. When you read the last chapter first, you are doing the same thing a general studies the map before battle, reducing the anxiety of the unknown. It is no surprise that the Greeks already knew Oedipus' fate before the play even began. The suspense, for them, was not in the what, but in the how, in the tragedy unfolding like an inevitable thread, beautiful precisely because of its precision. And here's the paradox. Those who read the ending first are often the ones who love the stories the most. Because he understands that the magic is not in the surprise, but in the choreography of words, in the way an author weaves a network of meanings where each node, each sentence, each silence is intentional. It's like listening to a symphony knowing the final note. You pay attention to the chords, the crescendos, the pauses that lead there. The ending is not a spoiler, it is a beacon that lights the way back. What does this reveal about you? If you are part of this club, yes, it is a club, and it has illustrious members. Agatha Christie. Read the ends of books before buying them. You probably 1. You are a life strategist. You don't like to be taken by surprise, because preferring to know isn't a lack of faith in the process, it's respect for your emotional time. You don't want to invest hours in a book, or a relationship, or a project, that will leave you feeling like I wasted my time. And this is not skepticism, it is selective wisdom. 2. You value the journey, not the destination. Those who read the ending first are generally not impatient, it's just the opposite. You know that beauty is in the details, so you want to savor the path without the rush of doubt. It's like traveling with the itinerary in hand, you don't miss the magic of the landscape, it only eliminates the anxiety of getting lost. 3. You have a unique relationship with control. In a chaotic world, knowing the ending is a way of ordering the chaos. It's no coincidence that many people who do this are also those who plan trips in advance, but leave room for improvisation. They like to cook following recipes, but adjust the seasonings. They prefer films based on real events, because the surprise is already in the story itself, not in the plot twist. You don't want to control life, you want to understand its patterns so you can dance with it better. 4. You are an emotion detective. Reading the ending first, you return to the beginning like an investigator, looking for clues that justify that outcome. Every dialogue, every description, becomes an emotional Easter egg. It's like watching Pulp Fiction knowing that the clock will stop at 4:50, everything takes on a new meaning. What about those who say this ruins the story? They have a point. But only if the story is weak. A good narrative, like good love, a good friendship, does not depend on secrets. It depends on how you live each moment, even though you know that everything is temporary. Shakespeare didn't need to hide that Romeo and Juliet die, the genius was in making the audience root for them anyway. In fact, the greatest classics of literature begin with an implicit ending. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, A Tale of Two Cities, you already know there will be contrast. Many years later, before the firing squad, 100 Years of Solitude, Garcia Marquez tells you, death is on the horizon. All happy families are alike, each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Anna Karenina, Tolstoy warns, this will not end well. Great authors are not afraid of spoilers, because they know that the power is in the execution, not the mystery. Experiment, try this with your life. If you apply this logic to books, why not apply it to existence itself? 1. Imagine your ideal ending, not death, but the essence of what you want to leave behind. I want to be remembered as someone who. I want to look back and see that. Write this now. It's not macabre, is a strategist. 2. Live the chapters knowing the outcome. If you want to be a generous person, every small action, a coffee paid for in advance, a sincere compliment, becomes a paragraph in this story. If you want to be brave, every fear you face is a plot twist that you chose. 3. Reread your chapters with fresh eyes. That fight with a friend. It wasn't a failure, it was a conflict necessary for the climax of reconciliation. That job you lost. It was not an end, it was the turning of the page for a new act. Life, like a good book, isn't about what happens, it's about how you tell the story to yourself. Confession, I do this too. Yes, I read the endings first. And not just books, films, series, even news. Not out of anxiety, but for aesthetic pleasure. Because when you know where the story is going to end, each scene becomes a delicious puzzle. You notice a character's sad smile in the first act, which only makes sense in the third. The shadow of a tree in a scene, which will be repeated in the climax. A seemingly innocent phrase, which is actually the key to everything. And you know what's most ironic? Even though I know the ending, I cry the same way. Because the best stories aren't about surprises. They are about truth. And the truth, whether in a book or in life, doesn't need spoilers to be powerful. Now, tell me. White heavy checkmark, do you also read the ending first? What was the book that you spoiled and still loved? White heavy checkmark, or do you think this is cheating? Defend your point. I promise not to judge. Or judge just a little. White heavy checkmark, if you could know the end of something in your life right now, what would it be? A spoiler for love, career, family? Leave it in the comments, and if you know someone who hates spoilers, tag them here so we can discuss. White down pointing backhand index. And if you liked this way of seeing things, save this text and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next reflections. Because, in the end, life is a story that we write knowing that the last chapter will be the same for everyone. But the middle chapters? Oh, these are just yours. See you on the next page. Open book sparkles. P.S. If you've made it this far, congratulations, you're among the readers who aren't afraid to dive deep. And that, my friend, is the best spoiler of all. You are on the team that understands that the best stories are in the details. Yellow heart. The power of spoilers. Why knowing the ending doesn't ruin the magic, and yes, it says a lot about you. Have you ever opened the last chapter of a book before starting? Or, worse, or better, did you Google a character's fate just to make sure they weren't going to suffer for nothing? If so, you're part of a secret club and it's much more interesting than it seems. Because here's the bombshell truth, whoever reads the ending first is not a cheater. It's strategic. And, more than that, he understands that the beauty of a story is not in what will happen, but in how it will hurt. Think about it, you knew Romeo and Juliet were going to die, but you still cried when they took the poison. He knew the Titanic was going to sink, but his heart still broke when Jack froze. You knew Dumbledore was going to die, but the scene in the tower still destroyed you. Why? Because the best stories aren't about surprises. They are about inevitability. About seeing the characters heading towards a destiny you already know, but hoping that, this time, somehow, they escape. It's like watching a train about to derail. You know it's going to happen, but you need to see every second, every expression, every detail that makes that disaster unique. And that, my friend, is life in essence. We know that one day we will die. That no love is eternal. What career? It is 100% safe. But we wake up every day and live as if we didn't know. Because what matters is not the end, it's the way we dance along the way. The psychology behind the spoilers, or why your brain loves knowing the ending. Studies, yes, science proves it, show that spoilers do not ruin the experience, on the contrary, they increase pleasure in 90% of cases. Why? 1. Your brain loves predictability. When you already know the ending, your brain relaxes and focuses on the details, on the construction of the characters, on the metaphors, on the subtext. It's like reading a book for the second time, only better, because you already know what to pay attention to. 2. You become an emotional detective. Knowing the destination, you start hunting for clues. This is where everything starts to go wrong, or wow, this dialogue is a time bomb. The story becomes a puzzle, and you, the master of the pieces. 3. Reduces anxiety. Yes, this is real. If you are one of those who suffer from suspense, spoilers are therapy. Your brain thinks, okay, I know this is going to suck, but at least I won't have a panic attack in the middle of the movie. 4. You connect more with the characters. When you already know that the hero is going to fall, every small victory of his becomes more moving. It's like watching a friend fight knowing he's going to lose, you cherish every second of courage. The kind of person who reads the ending first, and what that says about you. If you do, congratulations, you probably have some, or all, of these characteristics. Heavy checkmark strategic controller, you hate surprises because you like to prepare yourself emotionally. In life, you are one of those people who checks the menu before going to a restaurant and plans alternative routes just in case. Heavy checkmark emotional analyst, you don't just want to feel the story, wants to understand it. You dissect movies, books, and even conversations. Nothing goes unnoticed. Heavy checkmark realistic, but not cynical. You know that life is not a fairy tale, and that doesn't get you down, it makes you stronger. You prefer to see the truth in front of you than to deceive yourself. Heavy checkmark appreciator of details, you love the little things, the way the author describes a sunset, the actor's expression in a close-up, the background music in a key scene. The whole only makes sense when you understand the parts. Heavy checkmark survivor of narrative trauma, he's already had a plot twist so brutal that he swore, never again. Now, you protect yourself. And there's no problem with that. But what if you hate spoilers? What does this say about you? If you close your eyes, cover your ears and scream don't count, when someone tries to give a spoiler, you're probably Small Blue Diamond, a romantic journey. For you, the magic is in the unknown. You love getting lost in the story, letting yourself be carried away. In life, you are one of those who travel without a script and let love surprise you. Small Blue Diamond, a seeker of pure emotions, you want to feel everything at the right time, without filters. He loves the adrenaline of not knowing what lies ahead. Small Blue Diamond, someone who trusts the process. You believe that things happen at the right time, and forcing knowledge is cheating. In life, you let intuition guide you more than logic. Small Blue Diamond, a guardian of magic. For you, spoilers are like revealing that the rabbit comes out of the hat. They destroy the illusion, and life is already too hard for that. The great debate: are spoilers a betrayal or a survival tool? Time spoiler, me. If Shakespeare had written Romeo and Juliet die at the end in the prologue, no one would complain. It's literature, not gambling. Knowing the ending, I appreciate the path more. It's like having a map, you don't get lost in the emotions. Life is already full of uncertainties. Let me at least control my stories. Anti-spoiler team. If you already know the ending, you miss the thrill of discovery. It's like eating dessert before dinner. The best stories are journeys, not destinations. Spoilers are like giving a GPS to those who want to get lost. If everyone knew the ending of The Sixth Sense before, the film wouldn't be a classic. And there. Which team are you with? Confess in the comments. I promise not to judge. Or judge just a little. The spoiler of life. What would you like to know before? If you could spoil anything in your life, what would it be? Crystal ball, who is the person I will love forever? Or, has she ever crossed my path? Briefcase, what career will make me happy in 10 years? Or, am I on the right path? Man, woman, girl, boy, am I going to have children? What will they be like? Or, will I be prepared? Globe showing Europe, Africa, will the world get better or worse? Or, should I buy that house on the beach or invest in cans of beans? The irony. Even if someone told you, you wouldn't believe it. Because, deep down, we only learn what we already know. The truth no spoiler can reveal. Here's the big spoiler of existence. You already know the end of everything. Yes, that one. Everyone knows. But what you don't know, and that no spoiler in the world can tell you, is Sparkles, how you will laugh on good days. Sparkles, how you will cry during goodbyes. Sparkles, who will hold your hand when everything falls apart. Sparkles, what song will play at the exact moment your life changes forever. Sparkles, what breakfast will taste like after the hardest night. That, my friend, is what makes life worth living. Because, in the end, the best stories are not about destiny. They are about who we become along the way. Your turn. Debate, confession, or personal spoiler? Fire debate. Is spoiler cheating or a survival strategy? Defend your point. Open book confession. Which book film series did you ruin and still loved? I confess, I read the ending of The Fault in Our Stars before starting. I don't regret it. Dizzy life spoiler. If you could know one thing about your future now, what would it be? Leave it in the comments, and if you know someone who hates spoilers with their heart and soul, tag them here so we can fight, in a healthy way, of course. White down pointing backhand index. P.S. If you've made it this far, you're on the team that isn't afraid to dive deep. And that, my dear, is the best spoiler of all. You are not just a reader, you are an explorer of meanings. Save this text, turn on notifications and prepare your heart for the next reflection. Because life, like a good book, is not about the ending. It's about the pages we lived through. Open book sparkles. PPS. What if you really want a life spoiler? Here goes. Everything will work out. Not the way you imagine, not when you expect, and maybe not the way you dreamed. But it will work. Now close this text and go live the next chapter. I promise it's worth it.